Enerjisa Davos 2026'yı sunar.
Davos'tan yayınlarımız devam ediyor. Şu anda Simon Evenett'la birlikteyiz. Kendisi IMD Business School, Jeopolitik ve Strateji Profesörü. Mr. Evenett, thanks for joining our program. First of all, did you have the chance to listen to Trump's speech? And do you think that all the geopolitical tension is eased a little bit?
I listened to all of the speech. It was quite long, and I think, yes, it was a clear case of what wasn't said, which was more important than what was said. The president clearly did not ratchet up the pressure on the Europeans. He indicated that there was a pathway out of this, and I think there is a sense then that some degree of de-escalation has happened, and that's a great thing.
Yeah, no military action was a relief, I think.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So what will happen next now? Do we know the details of this framework agreement?
We don't know the details of the framework agreement except one or two very important respects. One, the discussion's been broadened from Greenland to the Arctic in general. That's important because it takes out the sovereignty question, or at least puts it to one side. And the second thing is the Danes have been adamant that the question of sovereignty is not negotiable. And so if you put those two things together, you have a negotiation about essentially securing this very important geopolitical frontier.
But Trump is insisted on taking Grönland, and he says that if you say no, I will not forget this.
The president has been pretty clear about what he says he will do, but this is a president who often overbids and then accepts an outcome which gets him a lot of what he wants. So maybe we've seen a repeat of that tactic here. Time will tell.
So is this a taco moment?
Is this a taco moment? I wonder if the financial markets movements on Monday swayed the president. I think only he knows what goes on in his head, but the timing certainly looks very interesting. Let's put it that way.
Do you think EU leaders need a B plan at this moment?
I think the EU leaders, the European leaders, because it's not just the EU, they do have a B plan, and the B plan will involve some type of trade sanctions if the United States puts sanctions in place. I think if America was to move militarily on Greenland, Europe is not going to fight for it. But the hope, of course, is to make sure that eventuality never comes to pass. So I think there will be some hard thinking on the European side about how to put together a very serious Arctic initiative, and then also what this means for their own defense expenditures.
So do you think European leaders are one voice and united now?
Well, maybe more united than many people would have given them credit for. And I think the key to understanding that is an argument I've heard from many Europeans, which is that if Europe cannot defend a territory which is already within NATO, then why do we have all these projects? And this is an existential question. It's not about asking, should we defend a country outside of NATO, such as Ukraine, for which there is a strong case for doing that. But if you can't defend territory inside the club, then people will start asking hard questions about what the club is for. And I think that argument has really resonated. And as a result, has made it easier for European governments to come together.
We have lots of tensions, Venezuela, Grönland crisis. We even forget about Russia-Ukraine war, and we have Syria, Gaza issue, and Iran. Lots of tensions. So do you think this global geopolitical picture is changing?
It seems that more and more tensions and flare-ups are happening. Maybe that is because we've come to the end of an era where one country dominated or was even prepared to dominate. For all the talk of the US's strength, why is all this stuff happening if everyone was so afraid of them? So it's a bit odd. I think there is a sense that we are in a transition, and we will have more of these incidents to manage.
So a Canadian leader says that this is not a transition, this is a rupture.
Yes, he would. Prime Minister Carney, in a brilliant speech, went much further, and I think he did call out a number of truths which I think everyone is still trying to digest. I think for many people, and I include myself in this, a lot of the old system worked, not all of it. You're sad to see a lot of it being left behind and worried about what replaces it. But something will have to replace it, and Prime Minister Carney has basically called us all to action.
So what is this peace board evolving? Do you think it might replace UN?
I think that would be very unlikely. I think the appetite for having a board of countries overseeing the world feels, quite frankly, a bit like 1945, the conferences of 1848 and 1918. It's a very, very old way of dealing with things, and we have, of course, now in the world over 200 countries. Many of them are small and medium sized, and they won't go along with this type of power play. So I think the UN needs reform. Everyone accepts this, but it's not going to be replaced by this board of peace.
And last question, what do you think bridge countries like Turkey can play a role in this transition period?
Well, bridge countries like Turkey can play a vital role in helping to define areas of agreement which will provide stability both in the areas of economics, business, as well as in military affairs and peace. And so we have to find some new ground rules or some guardrails within which governments and firms will operate, and countries like Turkey and others will be in a position to influence that debate. And I look forward to engagement, especially since Turkey it does such a great job bridging Europe and Asia.
Thank you so much, Mr. Evenett, for making this time.
Thank you very much.
Enerjisa Davos 2026'yı sundu.